Yeah, let's say that the Barbican Art Gallery was at that moment preparing an exhibition on the representation of architecture. There's, I think, maybe still on, or for a few months, there has been a huge exhibition on architectural photography, which was very interesting because it was a historical view on the representation of architecture from the early times of photography until now, until the artists working nowadays on the theme. And so they asked us to contribute to this exhibition through a film on themselves, as it coincided also with a sort of anniversary of the Barbican, the construction of the building and the project. So they were very much interested in a sort of self-portrait in order to work on themselves rather than just asking other photographs to contribute to the exhibition through photographs of buildings everywhere in the world. And so the commission was from the art gallery, and they gave us a total freedom to approach the building and the area in the way we wanted. But they already knew the way we worked, because one of our first films was exhibited there within an exhibition. And so they knew that we would have taken the subject through a more human aspect rather than historical or purely aesthetical. So from the very start, it was quite clear that it would be that path that we could have taken. And so, of course, we knew the Barbican as an important achievement of British architecture, but more in a historical way, because Ila studied architecture, and so for an architectural student, it's an important mark of the history, but it's not the same way you know a building when you live the building for a month, and you try to understand also how it works, how it is perceived, and how it is lived. So we proposed the art gallery to become sort of a resident, to become a resident of the estate for a month, and to make a film as if it was a sort of a trip diary. It's a sort of architectural trip of a length of 1 month, and then the film is a result of all what we have perceived, understood, seen during these 30 days. And so it's a bit like an architectural postcard. It's a very free form of filming, and so yeah, I think that's also the intent of the art gallery, was to give us the maximum of freedom, and so that's why we allowed ourselves to work in this way. I think what we were very much interested in is to understand how architectural utopias of a certain period of time can also survive and transform the way we live. And so we started with this interest, in the sense that we didn't want to create a portrait of a past utopia, but we wanted to understand what survives of this utopia today, and how it has transformed, how it worked or not, in the sense that we're very much interested to see how our ideas last in time, and so through all these portraits you have many different answers to the question, and it depends also on the way you live inside the Barbican, the social status you have, and but I think a lot of this utopia remains, even if through decades and decades of use, it has also proven that a lot of the initial idea of separating the circulation of the cars to the ones of the pedestrians is not working that well neither. But yeah, we're very much more interested in confronting a past theory to the nowadays uses. Yeah. What we tried to do during the 1 month stay there was very much to, rather than making a sort of realistic portrait of the place, also to work metaphorically to understand what we named in the film the unconscious of the fortress, to find the magic key to the mind of the Barbican and the Barbicaners, in the sense the inhabitants of the Barbican. Because what we were very much interested by was to find a sort of to understand the way you think, also living inside this kind of experiment. It's true that through all the films we've made until now, we're very much interested in approaching utopian or experimental architectures, or very strong with architecture with a very strong identity, which influences the way someone who lives or works in this architecture can also change its point of view towards architecture or towards the way you can live. And so the effort through the film was also to understand if living there creates a certain identity of the inhabitants. It's true that we're talking about almost a suburb, I mean almost an area. It's so big, the Barbican is not that homogeneous in the sense that it's a huge area of the center of London, and through time the population of the inhabitants has changed a lot. Initially it was much more intended to be dedicated to people who were working in the city, in financial districts, and rather now you find people in the field of design, architecture, but also families, which is a new feature of the estate. You find also, of course, businessmen, lawyers, etc. So a certain high category of people. But yeah, so our quest, our effort during the film to understand, to find this magic key was not a success in the sense that, and then that's maybe an interesting point in our methodology, is that we don't have a truth to tell to the spectator. It's a quest, it's an itinerary through sort of through the mind of the inhabitants, but as the site is so big, you cannot generalize, you cannot sum up what an inhabitant of a Barbican is. So the film is composed as a collection, because it's through the collection and through the variety of answers that we can understand what can be a link between all of them. Yeah, of course. As maybe I was explaining before, it's we conceive this film as a sort of trip. So you have through the film, you, even if it's not chronologically ordered, it's a path you are following. And so it's also a discovery. We discovered every day, we discovered something different. And discovering people rather than just architectural features and lines gives you much more, in the sense that the sense of discovery brings you much farther, in the sense that when you are a guest in one's house and you don't know the people you're going to meet and you don't know what universe he lives in, it's once you step in his apartment, it's a full experiment, and he brings you in his life story, etc. So of course we discovered every day was a discovery, and it was wonderful in the way that it changes your perception of the whole Barbican. Yeah, that's absolutely true. We started working this way because we considered that it was very much lacking in the way we perceive architecture. We learn architecture and we look at architecture. It's true that there are a few books that, or a few researchers that work in this way or have been working in this way, but very few. And we've been pretty interested to develop this approach because even in the way journalists work, we know that time is lacking, and for documentaristic approach, time is the key to understand the subject. And it's true that the luxury we give us is time in order to understand the place. And we think that it can definitely change your perception of an architecture when you understand how much an architectural theory or concept or experiment can influence in a good way or in a bad way the life of the people who are concerned by it. And so, yeah, we are not a militantism, but it's true that we've been very much interested in developing this approach, which was, let's say, underdeveloped in the imagery of architecture, in films, or it's true that we watch a lot of films about architecture, and a lot of films are intended to explain you a building, to give you some tools to understand either in history of the building or in terms of the construction process, etc. But not much on the sentimental or human side of it. And so because also we work in another field of documentary filming, which is much more linked with people and social issues, we wanted to create a link between the two subjects. And so we could present our films as a sort of anthropology of architecture, if you want. I would say that in each construction, because the editing of the film is a bit for us, it's a bit an architectural exercise that you build as we work with fragments, video fragments. We build up a sort of structure that can explain or express for us the structure of the building, or the way we can express it. And starting with them, we try to create a balance between these various testimonies and people who are in the dynamic of routinary, like this man in wheelchair. Is for us also a way of discovering space. We have a few people that allow us to discover space through their itineraries, through their routes, we are very much interested in cartography. And so that's why we presented this film as a sort of a human map or a mental map of the Barbican. But you also have the psychological space. As I said, we work on the unconscious of the Barbican, but also the physical space. And for instance, this man is one of the person who allows us to discover certain parts of the art center through his daily route, in a sense. But yeah, the bar and the situationists are very much an influence for us, of course. Even more in other films, I would say, because the way we try to construct the screenplay, the scenario, we sort of, that's why they're much more linked to video art rather than classical cinema. That what we try to do is to define a methodology rather than writing all what we will do. The screenplay is just an intention for us, and not planning or what will happen. The film, as I said, is a sort of discovery. We build up the progression of the film while we are making it, and so that's how we sort of homage to this concept of dérive, in the sense that the situationist did a lot of urban dérive this way, and it's through this influence of what you will see, what you will catch, what you will encounter, which contribute to the artistic project. So yeah, in a sense, we are very much influenced by this way of making